Nico. LGD, I believe, didn't play it in their first series, so you expect to go on Haichao at this point with, again, the lack of jungle we've seen. But with Meteor, you're always a bit on your toes. And for TT, they're probably going to lock this in. They're going to go with the stock and standard first rotation. It's about LGD maybe being a bit more interesting in what they want to bring to the table. Are they just going to default to Illusion? Do they maybe just want to be like, we're not even going to try that. We think it's a little bit bait. Go towards the Jinx yourselves and try to have that outrange advantage in the matchup.
And my dreams of the Huanfeng Jin for game number 1 go out the window, just like that. But we do get that reverse double lock-in, at least, for Meteor getting the Graves. Already had played that once last series, but the Cassante also making it through.
How interesting to lock in Graves now when you'd think they'd feel more pressure to pick up AD carry and that not get pinched. To where, right, Graves, you would assume probably shouldn't get banned. Sure, Meteor played it in their first series, but not a super high priority pick in this meta, but it seems like at least for LGD valuing having that carry potential in the jungle role and hoping that Meteor can bring it back to the days of 2019 BLG where he really was such a standout performer in the LPL.
Yeah, trying to bring back the memories to the present here, but we are getting a lot of picks that didn't make it through a lot of the ban phases in our first series. So I'm excited. We obviously get the Ahri locked in for Ucal. A lot of mobility on this man. He said was one of the best mid laners last split in the LPL. Now we do have Xayah banned away, so pinching that bot lane pool a little bit more. We actually get the Lulu ban here from LGD.
Yeah, so now I was going to say you're looking at Jinx or Lucian in terms of what they're more afraid of, scaling or the potential bot lane domination, not wanting to give the proactive options over to Envyy and JinJiao down on that bottom side. And now for LGD, I mean, it's like if you were looking to go further in the support pool, I mean, I guess you have things like the Nautilus, but I think there's other engage options
still
available.
Work?
I don't really know if it'd be worth picking up without the Melio to enable it and give you, however often Campfire's up, those like free trade patterns to be able to look for those plays. So now for TT, you're probably looking to just pick up your top laner now. Sion's going to be locked in, save support for counter pick Jinx. We already know LGD are going to pick it up, and then where they can go with support. I mean, you probably want to bit more engage yourself if you're the side of LGD. You're not just relying on like fearness having to run in as a Cassante.
I do actually like the Jinx here. You're talking about it last series that kind of does well if into the Aphelios, but right now it feels like TT just went to the store and grabbed the basic version of everything, right? They got the meta band pinned here, and I'm really interested at what combo we'll get with the Braum.
We're just going to get the Jinx.
Okay,
I was talking about this the other day that like Neela's been a champion who I think is kind of low-key feeling a little bit better in the meta with how items have shaped out. I think she's, last time I checked, she's sitting about like a 53% win rate in solo queue with like around 10% pick rate, but sadly that won't be this series. They're going to go with the Braum and say, actually, we don't need engage. We're just going to play trying to cut you out and stop you from being able to come in when they have so many engage options for themselves. TT, I like this going with
that's huge.
Instead of going with like a Nautilus, because you already have enough engage on the side of TT. Wukong, Ahri, Sun, they can start off fights. So now bringing something like the Lantern to also offer some peel for Huanfeng, while also enabling yourself to play a bit more pick with the Death Sentence, I feel like rounds out their comp nice by giving them some more flexible options in how to play out the game.
Well, TT might have the stock standard comp for what feels like the meta is shaping out to be, but man, it kind of feels nice to see it all come together. I'm very excited to see the execution now on this side of TT, where you have a little bit of more finickiness on the side of LGD, things to look at earlier on. Obviously, the Nico that usually gets banned, making it through, but for me as well, the Jinx Braum combo in the bot lane will be of high importance to get ahead.
It's going to be one of those things where, like, it will be really hard to fight into what LGD have drafted. Like, running them down will be hard, and finding the perfect engage. Sure, you can find an engage, but the exact one you want when there's a Braum, when there's a Nico throwing things out that are going to stop you. But the downside is, if they fall behind, they really don't have the agency to try and fight back and get back into the game themselves, unless TT just, again, run at them and give them the option.
And that's something we saw last series as well. I know, harkening back a lot to that last series, but it is a point where you want to have options throughout the game, and you've got to give those options to yourself starting from the draft. Well, we're hitting into game number 1 of our second series, our first Super Friday in the LPL Summer Split 2023. It's going to be a fun one. We're looking at who gets the first shove in bottom lane, where we can find some strength between these mid laners, but specifically, does Ucal become that shining point for TT tonight? And who picks up their first series win of the Summer Split, Lyric?
Looking at Ucal, especially when he gets his hands on the Ahri, such a pivotal pick in this game to be a difference maker. Haichao can have a good time going up against him with the Nico, who should have a fine time in that matchup. But a lot of my eyes for LGD are going to be on Meteor, right? Because you get your hands on the Graves once again. You put so much value on it. You picked it in the first, rotation of picks, like first 3. So I think Meteor definitely going to need to step up as a damage dealer. And then, hell, I mean, collateral damage comes out, Envyy dishing out damage on top of Haichao throwing out like a Q. That could be enough to just outright take out someone like Huanfeng from a fight.
If you had to choose any minion on the Rift to copy as Nico, which one would it be?
Wait, any minion?
Any minion, monster, or whatever it is. I wish you could do a little fawn.
My favorite are the plants, and I'm so happy Ucal already did it, because it was my favorite thing to see in solo queue and like clips of watching pro players was the Nikos that like turn into the plant and then go hide where it is after it was used.
Yeah, it's actually just too funny. I love the changes.
For anyone missing out, Ucal did do it in BLG's first match. It was great.
So they actually just posted it on Twitter from lolesports, a recapture of it. So if you want to go check it out, it's on Twitter right now. But speaking of this game, we wanted to see who got those big shoves in bottom lane. We're getting some trades here at this level 1, but I expect this Braum to have a little bit of an advantage.
It's just one of those things, right, where Envyy can always switch to the Rockets and kind of dictate how the lane's going to push out, to where TT might have a bit more options in terms of trading onto LGD. Of course, having, things like the Calibrum for Aphelios to trade early with that range, and also Thresh actually having some range to be able to auto, as compared to JinJiao to wait for that Q to come up and throw that one out. So I think we're seeing a little bit of both of that, right? LGD maintaining that push, but TT trying to find those windows to get a bit of return damage onto LGD's bot lane.
Oh, Hook actually going through the Vidians. Oh, JinJiao in some trouble, even with that Unbreakable. Envyy trying to get some damage back in his fashion, though. We will see the opposite side pathings for both junglers, so there will be some attention paid soon to either side.
You know what I just realized? We have Huanfeng, who was on IG Young when JackeyLove was the main AD carry for IG, and then we have yuyanjia, the guy who had to step up and then play with JackeyLove. Kind of the two of the like proteges, underlings, understudies of JackeyLove, now playing together.
I love that you quickly changed from underling.
Understudy, yeah. Like how they're not really underlings. If they were, it would be kind of cool, but it would also go against competitive integrity.
Yeah,
if then TT come against top esports and then JackeyLove is suddenly 30-0.
We're not gonna have any of that though.
If
but
that
memories
happens,
be told.
We all know what happened. I'm just saying.
We all know. But actually, it is interesting to see. Because, again, this is kind of this new combination coming into the spot lane. And I'm still curious because Huanfeng has had some quiet times, it feels like, over the last years. Ever since, his big splash in the pond, it would be when his story was told, when his Jin gameplay was off the charts, which, shout outs to Jin. But it is curious to see now what this new adaptation brings, what yuyanjia brings to the table to really enable this guy.
And we're going to be looking at yuyanjia now, right? Because with both junglers clearing towards opposite sides, we have vision lines kind of drawn on opposite sides of the map with some deep vision coming from TT and top side, LGD doing the opposite on bot. But luckily for TT, because of yuyanjia and having the Lantern available, they still have some options in terms of trying to like lane gank bot, throw out the Lantern, bring Beichuan in, and potentially try and get some sort of summoners. But looks like maybe gonna have to try and relieve some pressure off of Ucal soon. Does
nice
have TT up, forcing out the cleanse.
Early cleanse coming through, so something to be punished, but Meteor looking to punish top lane won't be seen until now. And now Hoya knows he needs to try to make it away. The ghost has been popped by fearness, but Hoya had popped his own, so the gank will not happen. The vision playing a key part for Hoya.
Yeah, he's still going to spot him out. Meteor does have serrated Dirk now, so having a little bit more oomph behind his punch.
He knew he walked that way, right? Like he knew. Right?
He's still going to manage to get away.
Ooh, nice little side step there.
I mean, he didn't even like hug walls or anything. He literally just walked right through. Does have the TP, so we'll be able to come back just fine. But still, nice bit of pressure relief coming out from Meteor to make sure fearness can get the push and get a nice recall for himself. And it seems like we're in a bit more a calm pace, Mazel. Just like game one of the first series.
Exactly. We're back home. We're back home. This isn't a home, I know, for the LPL, but it's home nonetheless.
I was going to say, this actually isn't
taxi cab.
This actually isn't home. I actually remember when I casted my first international. I can't remember who told it to me, but one of the people I casted, they're like, "Hey, you don't really know what to do when the game slows down, do you?" And I'd tell them, "No, okay, games typically didn't slow down in LPL, right?" And now here we are in a wondrous new world.
Is that what it is? That's just some rose-tinted glasses. I like fights. I like Summoner's Rift blood. No, but specifically, what?
So I just wanted to point out the amount of respect Ucal is putting on Haichao right now, to where he backs and just picks up a null magic mantle.
Yeah, he was down
really
pretty heavy on CS as well. I think he needed a little bit of defensive. He also had the TP, and obviously both now being burned. We won't have any TPs available for either sides, but more presence towards the mid lane is what I'm expecting. You're already seeing yuyanjia and JinJiao trying to explore a little bit.
Yeah, maybe kind of trying to make their way up, get the Scuttle Crab, have options to pivot towards the Dragon with the Prio that Haichao's been keeping up in mid. But the fact that they know Beichuan's still kind of just crawling around. They can't outright go for it. So I want to see if maybe they go for an evade, since they should know Beichuan started his blue and that's coming up.
Dragons are huge for Graves early. I'm still remembering so much time, I guess like 2 years ago, when Graves was just the farm destroyer. You could play Graves and be strong at any moment in the game. And while we're far cry from that at this point, I feel like the lethality really is interesting to go on the Graves and want to see how Meteor does, because it is more of that kind of carry potential through there, but it's very cautious carry potential. You got to be careful until you get to the point that you're super strong.
You know, those were better days, because what you're hearkening back to is 2020 summer. And you know what 2020 summer had at people like Navi, who was like the Graves goat, being a god. But
the
more
Lilia Graves matchups over and over again.
You had this guy named Weiwei on 2020 Summer V5.
Hey, he plays in the league now.
He does. Everyone welcome Weiwei back, as you know, now he's on Weibo, and another really nice roster.
They got a 2-0 last night. That was actually insane. Okay, we have a little bit of a lane game coming. Oh, he catches. Does the stop come through? Beichuan, he's just waiting. He's making them think there's a 2v2 going on here. Will just start his back now as well. LGD not falling for the bait.
Oh no, how are they not falling for this?
Stay.
Come on, Beichuan's investing so much time.
Oh my goodness.
That was a bit disappointing.
They know now.
Yeah, my heart goes out for Beichuan, because
this is a collapse. This is a collapse. Ucal, you're on vision. Will be dodged out. It knows something was fishy. And more priority on the Rift Herald. Understandable by LGD.
Yeah, I think this is good, right? Because Beichuan just showed bot. You want to try and maximize the amount, as much time as you can, finishing this Rift Herald fast, maybe getting your reset off, coming back out onto the map, and then being a decent bit stronger than Beichuan, having this objective in pocket, and hopefully getting this one down either towards mid or bot. Your bot lane's already taken one plate, so that's probably where you're looking. But I could even see an argument for giving it to Haichao with how strong he's been in this isolated 1v1.
Yeah. And I don't even think that fearness lost the wave there. I think the highlight there from the observers. But we'll see pressure from TT was towards the bottom jungle at least. Beichuan able to get something back. A classic of the LPL. There will always be trades of some sort. And we do get that consistency, at least from TT for now. And I think we're in a much different position than we were in that first series where comps were very lopsided. I think both teams have a lot of oomph in the tank if you're getting towards mid, towards late game.
Oh, they definitely do. Again, when we look at LGD, our concerns are like lack of engage tools. If you get ahead, that really doesn't matter, because it means that you'll be able to use things like the Jinx Rocket. You're going to keep pressure in mid, winning out over those like posturing exchanges. Go to Dragon first, bam. They're now running into like a Jinx, Braum, Cassante. What are they going to do? If not, though, you're never going to have the agency to start off a fight that you want. And the ball will always be in TT's court with a Wukong, with the Scion, with an Ahri.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a lot of that mobility that comes to use. And I like a little bit of the presence from TT around this mid lane. Because at first, Haichao was having a field day in mid lane, it felt like, against Ucal in terms of the CS discrepancy, but also a little bit of pressure there. And now you're seeing some of that pressure relief come through. No TP back available just yet for Ucal. We'll just be going back to the lane phase. Now Meteor on the prowl needs to try to find a very good in for this Rift Herald drop.
Yeah, again, I'd speculate bot. They've already gotten a plate. You're closer to breaking that one down. That's where your jinx is. Mid would also be fine.
And there it goes.
But yeah, I was going to say they shouldn't have too much wave clear, so Huanfeng won't be able to thin waves out enough, so LGD do get the drop. That's about getting some gold onto Envyy, and hell, Haichao's making his way down too.
Interesting drop all the way back in River. They won't have any minions now. At least they'll get the 2 turret plates there as well. No dragon for another minute and a half, so it looks like the conga line will go back towards mid lane.
And this is a great way to play, right? You kind of lean everyone down towards bot, create pressure. Once that pressure comes and you now have a window bot, you move some of the people who were in bot lane back towards mid. It's a bit of like a push and pull between lanes. So LGD doing a nice job, even if TT don't open themselves up to any, you know, gank opportunities for LGD to find.
I'm so scared of the roaming gank party of JinJiao, Haichao, and Meteor. The Graves with a lot of the give behind him, a lot of the peel, a lot of the take as well. Beichuan looking back towards bottom lane. You clearly see where TT's game plan is to play around.
I mean, TT just understand the meta. I think both teams, right? We haven't really seen any attention given the top for either side, knowing it is just our giant meatballs going at it. And TT now maybe can find an avenue to bring Ucal down. 4 members strong.
The Yumu's was completed, so Meteor is hightailing it down here. Are they going to be able to buy enough time? Envyy is the target. The Moonlight Vigil connects, and the kill actually goes over to Beichuan, as now the clone actually tanking up a decent amount of damage there. You get a lot of shots down, and Haichao's coming through. He is the Graves, but he's not, because he got the Pop Blossom and Ucal. He flashes away, but there's that collateral damage. You always got to be careful.
The dive took so long that LGD are able to respond. The good thing for TT is at least you're denying minions off of Envyy and building that goal lead for Huanfeng, and no one's there in mid to push and deny Ucal anything. So it's a 1-for-1. Isn't too bad for the side of LGD, but it does seem like a slight trade up for TT, especially since Ucal has TP. You can see Envy's going to go and try and push in that mid wave now, but Ucal will manage to get there in time to not lose it on anything, even if he potentially could.
Yeah, the thing that gets worrying now, though, is that Meteor is just going to be on a train of... Oh! I was going to say a train of farm, but that is a lot of damage there, Mr. Envyy.
You just lost your cleanse for absolutely free. You even saw him TPing in.
Yeah.
We'll go to the replay on bot side. Hook comes out onto the Braum. I love that Beichuan's like, yo, I'm just going to flash past and ignore this guy. Looks like Moonlight Vigil not even connecting onto Envyy, but having enough damage between the mid and jungle. But it was that flank from Haichao to lock down Ucal, and collateral damage range so far allows him to finish it off. And you pointed out, right, he'd already finished Ghostblade by that point, so even hitting incredibly hard at this point in the game.
And he's going to continue hitting hard at this point. We do have this dragon fight, though, coming up. LGD already have 1 dragon under their belt. It actually looks like TT want to contest.
Yeah, TT need to be careful. They are missing some key summoners on Beichuan and Ucal. Both AD carries do have flashes up, so they should be relatively safe, but mid laners can definitely be vulnerable.
Fearness maybe doesn't want to get caught out here. He's not that tanky right now, and it's a lot of damage from Huanfeng. 1 kill goes over, and this dragon should be TT's.
And just getting abused, right? Not taking the flash. Both top laners doing the TP Ghost. More team fight presence in this game. The second the hook lands, I like that yuyanjia knows haste. Doesn't have flashes of anything. Commit the box, commit the flay. Easy kill for them, and it just translates into this dragon.
I was hoping for some more 50-50s. Not going to get that just yet, though. You know, we'll get it. Don't worry. We'll get there. We'll get there. Beichuan does secure that first dragon for TT. They will also look to crash down this first tower of the game for Huanfeng.
Yeah, looking at a point where TT are going to start further extending this gold lead. We're still waiting on some resets and some like items to come out for them. Specifically looking at Hoya hasn't finished anything off. Ucal as well should be able to finish off and buy his mythic right now. So across the board, LGD have done a good job at least getting those first items online.
I'll get a little bit of presence around this Rift Herald too, so get a second Rift Herald for LGD. Not too shabby. We'll be looking to burst down one of these towers for themselves. Obviously getting a little pressure on the map is super important. But now you got to look at where the lanes are going to go. We see obviously ADCs contesting for top gold, but Huanfeng far and above just now, and looking to complete his second item very, very soon.
I think it's going to be really important for LGD to even get like some of their frontline killing tools online early, right? Thinking of things like the LDR for Envyy, because when you're LGD, you really are truly looking to fight front to back. Like, I know a lot of times we just say front to back for like any team fight comp because, let's be fair, a lot of them do just want to run at each other. But since LGD can't really just run in, they can only hit the front line of TT unless Ucal or Huanfeng overstep too far, right? Like, by picking Braum and having to engage, you're kind of opting into, I am going to hit Sion and Wukong, so we want to get those the ability to take down those resistances faster earlier on.
We'll see if Pop Blossom is enough to save Haichao. He'll be up here all by his lonesome. Here come yuyanjia and Beichuan. Help out Ucal. He didn't connect that charm, but here comes the Pop Blossom. Locks them down. He couldn't get Beichuan here. Mega Death Rocket goes across, but no one will fall, and it's a beautiful trade under the tower, or at least not trade, a gank under the tower for TT.
Yeah, just very nice pivot up towards top, not losing anything anywhere. They'd already gotten control of mid and cleared out that wave, so Huanfeng could back off safely. Now it looks like LGD need to focus on finding a place to drop this Rift Herald. They might even just drop it right now with how many put it up here.
Keep the tempo high here in the top lane. See if they can actually get a decent crash here, maybe some decent damage. But Ucal, still pretty strong now. I did use the Everfrost, so it doesn't have as much lockdown. Needing some of the cooldowns back as well as the charm lands, the tower falls.
I am really surprised that JinJiao felt threatened enough to use the flash there. I guess once again they don't have a whole lot of information on where like Beichuan is per se, because look at the minimap, he's in his own jungle, not showing on wards, not showing in a lane. So LGD saying it's better to be safe than dead.
Envyy has been such a pain in Huanfeng's backside this whole game. The Mega Death Rocket stops from across the map. The Zap stops from right point blank. It's actually hilarious to me.
Why, Mazel? You coming to this game as a biased caster?
Oh,
he's going down.
That's the flash. A little bit more damage would have done it. Mega Death Rocket is available, but not going to pull the trigger on it just yet.
I know you were cheering that play on. You are so happy that Huanfeng has no flash.
Well, you know, I've been playing a lot of Warhammer 40K, and one of the saying is blood for the blood god. You know, the LPL, I want to see some fights, all right? Huanfeng has now completed the Gale Force, so on the other side, you got some fighting tools. Got that completion there for him, so that'll be second item that we were looking at. Obviously, would like the third a little bit more, but they will actually be in position potentially to contest this next dragon.
Yeah, we're going to see what they look for, because with having the Gasante, LGD have done a great job of maintaining presence in bot side like we see here right now. fearness constantly has the push in this lane, which means they have a much easier time controlling vision. So I wonder if TT are going to opt to look to trade and maybe just play up towards top, go for the gold and picking up that turret. But with the resets coming out now, it probably means they want to head down towards bot and fight for this Drake.
Of course it does. Why would we not want to fight over this contested Drake? It is a potential step towards a mountain dragon, which honestly would be a boon to both sides at this point with a little bit of that extra tankiness. But I am looking at how much contest, because there is so much vision down right now from LGD.
Yeah, they manage, for TT, they managed to get topside while still not having to just outright give up Drake just yet. Ucal going to go for the reset and try and make his way down, but LGD, like you're saying, still maintaining presence around the spot side. They will have time to be able to pick up that red buff first, it looks like, before the dragon does spawn. And there we go, Mazel. TP's coming in. We're getting ready for battle.
I hope you got your boxing gloves on, because we're about to go fisticuffs up here, as Haichao will be TPing in now. Very far, but maybe he can sneak in there. As we've seen before, can the Nico be the difference? They're just going to buy a lot of time, but fearness' health bar says we ain't got time for that. As now the sneaky Nico has found the back, and can they get Ucal? Can they get Huanfeng? Those are the big targets right now. Haichao's just buying time. That's a big charm that lands onto fearness, though, and he gets chunked. That's the front line of LGD kind of gone.
I think Beichuan popped his head in the jungle. Yep, and the ward going down. They have an idea, right? The fact that Haichao hasn't shown for so long, that is weird. That is sus. They don't like that. And they aren't going to overextend for anything. Yeah, so I like that TT played that one a little bit slower, didn't give in, and didn't give that free opening to Haichao because it just leads to a win in terms of another dragon.
That second dragon onwards towards this soul that they'll be fighting for, but also just looking for a little bit of stability. Then getting those big objectives, setting themselves up for the future is huge because we are literally just building towards 5v5 mega throwdown fights around Baron at this point because both teams have taken such a calm approach to the early game.
Now is going to be the time where we get to find out.
Collector, let's go!
Are these teams going to be, let's say, you know, not turning the cogs of the game forward and just waiting for dragons to come before they fight? Or is one of them going to go live the Baron life, you know?
So it's a question of, in this situation, do you want to, you know, wait to build up a giant Gundam with all the cool weapons, or do you just want to fight with your bare hands? I mean, at that point, that's what you're talking about. Speaking of fighting with your bare hands, there's some bare knuckle boxing in the top lane. Haichao with the pop blossom to his death. Yuyanjia will pick up the kill.
Ucal doing all the work, looking for that 1v1, and Yuyanjia just comes out and snubs it right away. You know, I don't know if this is his trial phase as JinJiao. He's a Braum. I guess him getting hook is fine. But yeah, Yuyanjia better be careful for, you know, he gets moved out of Ucal's roster.
Of Ucal's roster? You say Ucal's the big boss?
Who's the big boss out of these two? Fearness looking for it.
Noodle fight. Hoya, you might be losing. You gotta find yourself a better pool noodle, my friend. Oh, Fearness, he's got a lot of damage, and he's all out in you, Hoya. That zombie ain't gonna save you at all. Ain't gonna get anything back either. LGD with the solo bolo from Fearness.
I need to stop assuming that you know, there's an idea behind what's going on. Because I'm like, okay, two big meaty tanks, Hoya's walking up. He's probably fine. He knows he's just chilling. There's no way he's going to die here. And then he just accepts, puts himself in the position, doesn't try to escape when he goes too far. He's the one opting into the trade. We're going to see here how it exactly goes down. Even starts off by ulting even further in to clear out this wave. And looking at the minimap, I mean, his team's so far away, opens himself up for it to go down. Now no ulti to be able to escape, and just accepts his fate.
It don't go down easy, but it still goes down. Fearness going to be huge in that moment for LGD. The Cassante really coming alive now. We're getting a 5-man squad in the mid lane. Try to take down this tier 2 tower. You got a potential engage from Hoya, but onto a clone. And they're just trying to defend this outer tower because it's really their only point of defense right now out on the map if you're going to be extending.
Now for TT, they have to answer waves, right? We can see the top wave hitting the tier 2 turret right now and just kind of having to accept. When it comes to contests over mid-wave, LGD should be getting the better end of them, right? Having those rockets available, play with the range, more AoE coming out, and Hoya might have to suffer for it.
Hoya, definitely pretty tanky at this point, though. Maybe a little bit more tanky than Fearness, but not all that much because Fearness actually has those 2 items completed. The tower finally falls, and now Envyy gets excited. He got a couple shots that will be going on to the clones, but we want to see a little bit more damage given back and forth. Both teams bloody, but neither out.
And we're at a point where we have the weird dynamic, right? Where, like we said, LG don't really have many options for forcing fights, but this Braum is just such a nuisance. JinJiao able to stand up front, tank so much damage, and TT not really outputting damage as quickly as someone like Envyy could at this point in time, especially the distance he can. And there it is, right? How quickly can you start getting to some sort of penetration, now making his way towards that LDR by getting the last whisper?
Yeah, both of them are like, okay, I need damage. I need damage now. Stat, doctor, please. The other funny thing is just the kind of give and take of the clone game that's going on right now. You got the Wukong clones versus the Nico clones. Whose is better? Now we actually see who's going to take the tussle around the dragon because we got 30 seconds for a potential 3rd dragon for TT. Beichuan looking for the flanks.
You know, had Beichuan just circled all the way around by happenstance, he would have found Envyy. That would have been huge. That would have been such a random stroke of luck. He's still trying to get even deeper.
I don't know if he can make it around. That would be a little bit too much damage, I feel like, coming out from the tower there. The hook actually connects onto JinJiao, not the person he wants to. They're trying to access the back line now. Shock rooms are starting to stack up for Wanfang, though. And that could actually be super huge. Death Sentence doesn't go through. Hoya's in the back line. Pop Blossom on a 4, but it was one of the clones. And now we got to see the follow-up afterwards. Yuyanjia connects. Wanfang dealing some work. Hoya goes down to zombie mode, but Envyy will survive in the end. TT, they're still in this boxing match. They'll actually connect on a Meteor. He flashes away, and that means pounce time for LGD. They find Yuyanjia out. Meteor picks up the kill. Oh, Beichuan, he goes in, he can't find Envyy, he does flash forward, picks up the kill. Wanfang is big right now, you gotta watch out. Moonlight Vigil connects, and one goes through another, and TT are firing on all cylinders.
And everything looks so good for LGD, but Beichuan, the patience, finding the angle, having the confidence to go back in, knowing they have the damage. Are they really gonna turn towards the Baron? Oh, they are, I guess. Oh. With Hoya's TP up, it makes sense.
It's not a flip.
And now, yeah, now LGD making their way over towards the Dragon. I mean, TT gonna be so happy with this end of the trade. And all of it coming from, again, just a bit unfortunate for Envyy, having to walk right into Beichuan after you'd already won the initial fight.
The flanks keep coming.
I think a lot of this fight came down to the setup. LGD, great job by not giving in. Had they gone deeper into River, not kept threatening the Baron, Beichuan would have had a great angle for a flank. But since he didn't, Hoya goes down. Haichao finds a really great ultimate, which stops them from being able to reinforce Hoya. And this is what you wanted from LGD. Again, play off your disengage, play off the range that you have. But it's here, look at the minimap. Beichuan wraps all the way around from Tri-Brush. And LGD just don't expect this. They feel like they won the fight, they got 2 kills, and bam. And
they're scared of Wanfang as well. I know maybe ADC bias here, but Wanfang played that fight so well. There's so much that was available to try to take him down, but he was able to keep a lot of distance, buy a lot of time, and then the combo comes together. That's what we're looking for this team. It's the combos that need to come together. We know they're skilled individually, but it's about executing, and now we're getting a little taste of both here for TT.
I feel like we saw good things from both teams in that fight, right? We saw LGD, like, kind of understanding how to maneuver around their composition, not overcommitting, trying to force join to River, not overcommitting up towards Baron side, and then TT, I guess, just knowing their limits, knowing that they can still take the fight, knowing that Beichuan has to look for that flank, and then you commit, so...
A little bit of minion action in the mid lane, fearness. Trying to defend this tower as best he can against 2 Baron up cannon minions. Haichao actually making his way. There's the tower going down to tier 2, should fall.
I also want to point out real quick, Mazel, that LDR has been finished by Wanfang with the fact that they won that fight, so sitting on some more important items. Zanya is also being picked up by both mid laners. Can have a drastic impact in those fights, especially if Haichao get an ult off, survive, and get more cooldowns.
They're committing mid lane. They pulled, actually, Fearness away, but didn't find what they were looking for, and now they lose a little bit more pressure on the bottom side. Almost half a tower at this point.
And this is where they're really going to be struggling, again, without the ability to just easily force a fight. Because usually now, is going to be like, all right, screw bot, we'll give that to Ucal, we'll force a fight mid. But I guess you still could. Fearness or Haichao can run in, since TT are playing so far forward.
Oh, Ucal playing a little too far forward. Has that Spirit Rush available. We'll burn it.
That gets away in the end. Envyy also now picking up his Lord Dom, so... when we're going to go into a war of attrition, he will be much better.
He stayed. Let's see, he's got Zanya's baby bot. Nope. Okay. Well, that's it for the side lane for Ucal.
He deserves that emote. He deserves it.
Honestly, for that, maybe. We'll see if it actually does come back to bite them, though.
I don't necessarily think it should. I mean, the fact that TT's still going to have this Baron to be able to play with, maintain prio in lanes, means they can just keep pushing their vision line even further. The kind of downside is Dragon not up for 2 minutes. It's going to be really hard for you to actually break the base of LGD. They have a ton of wave clear coming out from the Jinx Rockets, Qs coming out from Haichao. Even Graves is like no slouch. You can always like waste the collateral damage if you have to, if they are like threatening you that much.
He also just got the Black Cleaver, which is actually pretty big for the Graves in terms of just being able to stick, but also have some damage potential behind it. Ucal also making 2 rods into a hat. Does have that Rabadon, so that's another big spike for the Ahri. I have to look at who gets caught out before fights, though, because that has been a big kicker so far. fearness trying to catch out Beichuan, but that dark passage is right there. Thumbs down, Beichuan says.
Yeah, I want to go back to what you said about Ucal having the death cap, because I feel like that could be really pivotal, where now, I mean, TT could bash in that damage department, right? Because you're just solidly ahead of Haichao on the Nico. Huanfeng, you might be on, like, similar breakpoints as AD carries, but being a full component up, when we talk about things like the range disparity that's there, those could be the difference makers in just being able to take down the less tanky front line that LGD have. Though fearness is up quite a bit of CS, which does give him an item lead too.
It does. Definitely helps in that frontline access, or at least frontline body for LGD. The big thing is, though, and I love that you mentioned it earlier, Ucal is just so far ahead. And in matchups, like we said last split, if you don't match Ucal, he will smash you. At this point, you're so far ahead in item, it just feels like Haichao doesn't have as much of a say at this point.
Yeah, 60 CS up. Did also just blow his TP to get the top side. I think he was afraid
Don't worry about
of LGD collapsing down on him. But just in time for Dragon, them to walk in together.
Don't want to charm. I mean, I guess if you just do a bunch of damage, you can do it. They're all grouped up right now. That was a recipe for disaster with that Infernum waiting to go.
And Huanfeng didn't even have to use Moonlight Vigil there for the amount of damage they've already dished out. So still having all their big tools, only the boss going down. And that not even really being the most pivotal tool in their tool belt. So this will just be free soul point for the side of TT. For LGD, you're gonna want to start getting some vision control up towards that top side, but the fact that you're still coming out of base, TT are even gonna be able to challenge you for that.
LGD looking towards their new addition in Envyy in the ADC position on this Jinx to be a big carry for them later. They've been buying time to make this comp work, and you just got to get a little bit excited if it is going to go LGD's way.
Hoya there just walked up. We're like, all of you can auto me. I do not care. Tries to charge up a full Q and quickly realizes, hey, you're still going up against some pretty big hitters.
That's a no-no. We'll see actually wrapping back towards mid. I think the actually engage might go through. I was going to say nothing's going to happen here, but we get a lot of damage traded back and forth. fearness about half health, but Hoya ever strong as that front line. And while we were talking so much about Envyy, you still got to watch the other side. Because
Hoya had actually just recalled and TP back in. Had he just been chunked out for free there off of a TP reset, that would have been like a huge small win.
Beichuan has found the flank. He found it. Moonlight Vigil goes through, but it's wide. You got fearness who TP'd way back. The Pot Blossom connects. This is a knockout, drag out fight, and it's LGD's only hope. They can't get excited though. They can't get one kill. It's Haichao who's down, and now Ucal going forward. He's got that spirit rush and spirit to him. You got a lot of damage from Meteor, from fearness. They've got the tankiness to survive, and while the rest of TT got out positioned on the other side of the fight, they actually took it apart.
I'm actually interested to see the replay and see what what pinned Ucal down to where he couldn't just jump in when Beichuan found that flank. Ooh, is Hoya gonna survive?
No. Hoya got to try to get away from this one. That is a 6-0 Graves, though, with the full lethality build, and he's going to find another kill here, no doubt. One more shot to the back.
I feel like the setup was there for TT, but ideally off of this flank, you want to see Ucal matching up to get on top of Envyy. He goes in, kind of forced back by the threat of Haichao. And then, yeah, that just takes him a little bit longer because he's trying to peel for his own AD carry against his Nico. But look, that means Envyy survives for so long and gets off a huge ton of DPS before he eventually goes down in the end. And I feel like that's really what gave the opening for LGD to take this fight, was the fear of the Nico on the backline and Ucal trying to peel for his own AD carry as well.
And fearness is flank. I was like, man, that's so far away. But it actually was so huge. This man is on a mission, and it is to kill TT. They will be flipping a Baron, though, because, of course, why not? And Beichuan will have to find the Miracle Steal. We'll see if he can do it. He's on the back pit. They know that he's there. They've got to try to deny him. He can get over the pit, though. 3,000 hovering. LGD don't want to let it go. 2,000 down. Beichuan, he doesn't get it. He needs to try to get out now. He's stuck in the pit. There ain't nothing to call home to. Envyy picks up a kill for LGD.
Great pickup by LGD now. Gonna have this Baron to play off of the fact that they already have the range. Rapid fire cannon. I say the word range, rapid fire cannon comes out for Envyy too. So they're really gonna be able to hit these towers so easily. And again, their composition from ahead can be so oppressive because Envyy, Haichao, Meteor stand up front, hit those turrets, but then you have JinJiao there with a Braum shield, absorbing everything, just allowing for the safety to come through. Might not have his ult up just yet, which is something that they have to be a little bit wary of. Means they can't dissuade engages as easily, but still a ton of power to just force down these tier 2s.
Yeah. I got 2 minutes for the Baron buff as well, and now it's trying to find a way in for TT. It feels like the strengths are represented very well. That GA now completed for Meteor. He will be unstoppable, and it just doesn't feel like TT have enough left in the tank.
No, again, I just don't know how they force into this now. Now that LGD can play on the front foot, they are getting quite heavily chunked, though. They can damage for free.
fearness getting caught out is a good way to start. They do get their frontliner down. Huanfeng picks up the kill. Now Ucal feeling a little bit of gumption. As Hoya goes in as well with his unstoppable onslaught. There's the charm that connects, and they just burn down JinJiao. There is a trade back as Meteor will make Beichuan bite the dust. Ucal still has a couple charges. The Spirit Rush wants to look for Envyy. Connects the cleanse, but he got damage back. There's tight moments, a lot of stress, and Ucal will dodge out of that super mega death rocket.
That was stressful to watch on both sides. Oh my god. LGD at first kind of giving over free kills. Like, hooks coming out, free damage being dished out, but the other members of LGD not, like, in position to reciprocate the damage. Means it's just pure benefit for TT. But then Envyy with some nice fancy footwork to at least make sure some return damage kills go back over for LGD.
All right, the Huanfeng Gundam is online. Full build for the Aphelios. We're at Dragon Soul Point for TT. They do not want to give this away, but it looks like they're going to have to, unless an Infernum did enough, but Meteor secures it. That'll be Soul Point now for them. And he still does so much damage, and fearness has found the backline. Pop flops up, and Pop goes your life. You got fearness popping him back, though. Hoya goes down. 2 kills for Meteor.
fearness and Haichao setting it up for Meteor to just dunk them down.
This
they
man
have
is
a wave
10
in
-0.
mid. I mean, they're just going to go for the end here, and they should be able to find it.
What do you do when a Meteor Graves comes to you? You die, that's what. As he is doing work here, we said at the beginning, it's going to come down to what these jungles can facilitate, what they can find. And Meteor has took a strong step forward in game 1 of this series as LGD seemingly pulled this game back from the brink, and now it just feels like nothing can stop him. Huanfeng doing some work. That's 6 items. That Moonlight, gosh, it's so close. The feels for TT there, but LGD make it out alive.
Mazel, something stopped them. Something stopped them. It was the wave clear coming through. It was the threat of an engage. And you know what? That's for the best. That's for the best right now, because with where both these teams are at the start of the season, this could really still go either way. LGD, they can throw this. TT, they could keep losing. And that's why I'm excited to see where the next fight brings us. But my God, the flakes from fearness this game. Beautiful. Just the potential engagement from both teams, especially for LGD, who need those flanks to succeed to start the fights they want.
And you just now completed 4th item for Ucal. You're still working on that 3rd for Haichao. You really need that item discrepancy to be closed. But what I love is that we're getting an LGD that loves to go late. It is insane how late their games have been. They are also in possession of the longest game so far in the split, at like 43 minutes. But we're around in that bend now. We're looking at a 7th dragon of the game to contest for Soul.
Oh God, we're at a point where, like, again, now with multiple people at full items, we're gonna get like the true team fight.
It's the Gundam fights. It's what I've been waiting for.
Who can out big brain the other? Who can out hands the other one? TT, we saw the recipe for success.
You're not gonna do that again, okay?
It's kind of Beichuan and Ucal going in tandem onto Envyy, but Beichuan might just go down here.
Might just go. They have so much CC. He doesn't have to burn that flash.
For TT, like we said, it's kind of those two being pivotal players, getting on top of Envyy, bursting him out, while the rest play out the front to back. For LGD, you're fine just, again, Braum in front, Envyy auto-attacking. If you get into a position where fearness can find flanks like he's been doing, like, great. That just means you win even harder. But it's not something you necessarily need if TT are going to keep trying to find these fights into you.
see the mid gank if it's going to be possible. Haichao's clone going in, having a little bit of fun. As now Beichuan still looking for that side lane flank. Meteor's like, nope, I'm going to be the man marker now. As we will see fearness actually not get caught by any of the CC there. Meteor looking around the corner here as well.
Now just the posturing in mid. No bearing up, no dragging
This is where you need
up. We're not fighting over any camps.
Oh, yep. Oh, there's another ward, Beichuan. I'm sorry. We'll see if they can actually find this. This when the knockback comes through on the Hoya.
TT just really are trying to find this, but they just can't. You're seeing it, especially every time the rapid fire proc comes up. Envyy able to dish out some solid damage. Haichao too.
That's going to be a lot of damage on the Hoya. He's got to be careful. There's that unstoppable onslaught used. Beichuan, again, caught out by a ward. LGD, they're looking to flippy flip.
And remember, Meteor is huge right now. He's just taking this one down so fast.
Beichuan not even focusing on the Baron at this point. He just wants to find the flank. He wants to find the back line. There goes the Baron. You got to see, can they get Envyy? He makes it out. Pop Blossom across the back. A huge moment changer as evisceration comes to TT's House of Living. And Mega Death Rocket comes through, but it's a little bit of distance making for Envyy, who now also takes down Ucal. An obliteration of TT. Oh, he gets another one. That's a double kill for Envyy.
Yeah, TP back to the minions as well. I guess trying to cut off Hoya's escape path and just help get those minions pushing even sooner. They've done it. Again, they look so shaky in their first series. But nice bounce back, especially with the team fighting coming out from LGD.
My goodness, what a game. They will end it, at least before the longest game of the split so far that they also hold. But man, they made TT work for this one, and they actually brought it back at the end. Huge stuff, the composition aligned. It just felt like once they got rolling, you said it well, this composition, if they are ahead, it's so oppressive, and it ended up being just that.
Yeah, because again, you're just kind of left with this in this position where you now are trying to force into a Braum, into a Cassante, and then it becomes like a battle of your marksmen and of your carries. And we saw what the Jinx was doing. We saw the fact that Meteor especially was able to get to a big 6-item point like so much quicker than a lot of the damage dealers on the opposite side. Huanfeng really trying to be the big grace for the side of TT, but not able to do so in the end. So very back and forth game. These teams, just one thing we learned from this game is that these teams incredibly close in terms of level.
I will just say there was a constant through all that, and it was those back line pop blossoms.
Yeah.
Nico will not be led through in another game. Those were insane. Even for the first 90% of the game, it didn't do a lot of damage, but it was the CC that laid. And then that last one, you did 3/4 of all of their health bars when you connected onto 3 on the back line. It's things like that that make Nico a permanent ban, or you just have to find ways to deal with it. Again, Jinx was let through. They pinched the ADC pool. It didn't matter. It still worked out for LGD. And so I'm wondering exactly how that game plan comes to bear now, because TT had control of that game for a majority of it.
Yeah, TT felt like the ones. Oh, I mean, again, they were the aggressors. They were the ones on the front foot. They were the ones who picked up that first Baron, and things were looking solid. But sadly, giving some picks over, giving the ability for them to win a fight, LGD were just huge at that point. So I'm happy for LGD because again, it felt like that they should have done better. Maybe not in terms of result of the first series, but in terms of like the performance in the fight that they were able to put up. And now we've seen, all right, looking a little bit better. Things really being cohesive, like the team fights were there. You could see players having an idea of like how, like what their role is within the team composition in a team fight, and those I think are always some of the most important things to like kind of see where teams are at. To where for TT, again, there were some good things in those. We even pointed out like there would be fights where teams would go 1-for-1, and like both teams did something that was quite nice and like quite good for their composition. But sadly, they just got to a point where they couldn't contend in those 5v5s, and they couldn't find the backline access.
Dude. Let me tell you about Meteor. Sheesh, man, that dude popped off on the Graves. My God. I mean, he already picked it out once in the previous series. They lost, obviously. But to come out and be like, nah, that wasn't the problem. I went 10-0 plus. I don't remember what he ended up in the end. I guess we'll see in just a little bit. But my God, It was
I think it
Meteor
still
that
was
set the
10-0.
tempo from the jungle, and it never
Yeah.
stopped. Even when TT had a lot of control, it's because they were playing through the lanes. But Meteor always had a stranglehold over the jungle.
He really did, and it's a weird game, right? Because I'm glad we see the damage numbers, because Envyy definitely did look like he was the one packing the biggest punch, as he should, being on a Jinx and into a game where we got full builds coming through. But I really feel like that top side really was just pretty solid in those team fights all around. Again, what all of them brought to the table: Meteor with the damage, Haichao with the pot blossoms, fearness with like the 2 or 3 flanks he was able to find in this game. To where for TT, kind of a similar story of that. A lot of big moments from Ucal, and some solid moments from the rest, right? A lot of it did just come down to that 5v5. And sadly for TT, their biggest strength in spring wasn't necessarily their team fighting. It was them looking for picks and playing around Yao with Beichuan, enabling Ucal. So, this could be a bit of a bad
Envyy
omen
wasn't
for
even
TT
full
in terms
build.
of the results. No, he never finished off that last item.
My God, what a Chad. I just think that a lot of things could have changed with a little bit more distance on Huanfang's ultis, things like that, but it obviously comes down to a lot of execution. But as well as when you get 2 extremely high priority meta picks in the meta right now, it's going to end up in your favor, right? You get that Nico, you get the Cassante. It gives you so much pressure from the solo lanes, even though Ucal felt like he was winning a lot of the pressure trying to move with his jungle.
Yeah, hell, those are 2 champions we see as must-bans, right? Cassante has been banned in a majority of games. Nico has been banned in a majority of games. Not only did both these champions go through, both of these champions went through into the same side of draft, which is always a little bit interesting. But again, we're still in the first week. Teams are still going to be figuring it out. Who knows? Maybe more teams will go along the lines of like WEs and IGs and bring spicy picks out like Rengars and Rumbles. So, we'll find out.
We will find out indeed. We will be taking a small little break while we get ready for our second game of our second series of the night. So make sure you go get some water, refresh, and come right back here to the LPL.